And welcome back to Real Ag Radio here for the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. Joining us right now, coming out of Elmer, Ontario, it is Chris Olbach. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
It's going well. Thanks, Shaun.
Hey, what are you up to like in a week like this? It's kind of wet in your area, not the most springy of kind of conditions, but what are you up to?
Yeah, no, we've been on a bit of a spring roller coaster here, coming off a few good days of weather and back into some not so good
Yeah.
planning. Definitely on people's minds, but so yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster. But yeah, my reps have been getting a lot of seed out lately, which is awesome. Um, Farmers are certainly receptive to getting it now because they're close to putting their plans in action. So that's really good to see, and I know my reps have been working hard on that. So.
Yeah, it kind of is that time where it's all like farming is a lot about logistics. I don't think we actually focus sometimes enough on we talk about agronomy and we talk about the equipment, but it really is logistical planning and execution that makes I think some of the separates some of the okay or good farms from some of the great operations.
For sure. Some of
Yeah,
the pointy-headed agronomist types like myself have to compete with some of that time, but yeah,
yeah,
it's a lot of planning that needs to get in place, right? And
yeah,
yeah, that's
absolutely. And when the weather is kind of that roller coaster like you were just mentioning, patience at this
yeah,
time of the year is really important. Let's talk about that.
yeah, at least a little bit, right? I mean, I have a weather station up St. Mary's where I on the farm I grew up on, and it's got a soil temperature sensor at 2 inches, eh? And so it'll take I can pull that information, right? And just yesterday, I think we were averaging about 53 degrees Celsius, and it was getting up to 64 at the high and then 44 at the low, right? But that can change. Like I said, roller coaster springs see always happen in Ontario, and that can change quick, right? So patience is important. So I mean, soil temperature isn't everything, but it can fluctuate.
Yeah,
So
Fahrenheit. You
yeah,
said,
yeah,
yeah,
Fahrenheit, yeah,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure, yeah.
It was like, whoa, that is hot. You,
That's what it reports in. So yeah, yeah, ambidextrous that way. Yeah. So
yeah. I hear you. Sometimes it's hard to flip back and forth. It and making sure and I don't care whether it's you're planting corn and around Norfolk or you're putting canola in the ground in Western Canada, making sure that soil's fit, right,
yeah,
is really really critical. And because wrong steps at the beginning here can really show their impacts right to the end, and we want to avoid that.
yeah. I mean, the crop is only a product of what it was the day before, and so the starting it off good is critical, right? And that we talk about this fundamentals. I just had a group of young kids that have been not younger aspiring farmers that we had out and did some fundamentals, just looking at how corn seed develops, right, and those kinds of things, right? So making sure the soil's fit to carry is important in Ontario, and what I mean by that is, can it handle equipment? Are you disturbing the soil too much if you push that envelope a little bit? Is something that is always pays when people apply patience to that. But yeah, there's ways to do it. The best way is just to get out and and have a good session, I guess, in your soil, and maybe do some digging and get a feel for how the soil conditions are. So yeah.
Yeah. Are there any things that you pass on to farmer customers and into some practical, I don't know, tips and tricks is not exactly the right description, but you know what I mean? Some advice to ensure that we do get off to that good start. Obviously, going over that
Yeah,
planter and making sure that it's ready is,
yeah, for sure.
we heard that from a couple farmers today. We had talked to Ethan Wallace from Seaforth and Dan Petker
Okay.
from
Yeah.
Norfolk. Yeah, you would know Dan. And um, they talked about going over that planter, making sure that it's absolutely ready before we get out to the field, so we don't identify those once emergence happens. We're like, what the heck was going on with the planter? Right? We hate those situations.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think you probably touched on it with a lot of them, but yeah, planner maintenance is huge heading in and following a checklist. I like the checklists that exist in the marketplace today. There's piles of information out there, guys. I'm not gonna inundate you with that, but become attuned with what your equipment just what it can offer you in terms of when you can get out, but also make sure it's working right. And that takes time ahead of the season to do. So yeah, that's been important. But yeah, just the soil is the same way, but it's always changing on you. So just making sure the 3 to 5 day forecast we look out, right, that those can be helpful. Just make sure we don't there's advantage to planting early. And that is I'm choosing to plant in soil conditions that are fit, right? So that's important, but consider the risks 3 to 5 days out if you're doing that. So
with a lot of stuff that we're doing, I like that checklist idea. I think of like the pilot, right?
Yeah,
if you've ever ridden in a small plane, there's pilot's got checklists on a lot of stuff. And people response may be, well, I don't need a checklist because I'm doing this stuff all the time. I know what I'm doing. Well, so does a pilot, but there's a lot of stuff that's happening and we can skip steps or, man, I thought I checked that. I could have sworn I did. That's what the purpose of the checklist is, to reinforce the points. You run through it. Did we do this? Check. So whether it's starting up the planter or it's doing other activities on the farm, I think a checklist is a pretty good idea, especially when we're being pulled in so many different directions on the farm.
Oh, for sure, and it can be very applicable to beyond your planter, right?
Yeah.
What herbicide technology you're using, those kinds of things, they're becoming more important all the time, right? So can't stress that enough. A good plan until you get punched in the face, right? But
everyone's got a plan to their punch in the face. That's yeah. It's like a Mike Tyson quote, I think.
There you go. Yeah.
So. Who knew that Mike Tyson would have such an impact on on farming? That's pretty good. Well, is the weather supposed to shape up in your area there in southwestern Ontario soon?
Yeah, like we've had good. I can't say enough about the last 2 days. It's gotten a lot of guys thinking about their wheat, being.
Oh yeah, wheat management. Yeah.
Their management there. A lot of wheat. Mine's at growth stage 30. A lot of guys are looking at, a lot higher growing degree days for wheat, which has moved the wheat along quicker, right? So that can sneak up on you too. So that's been top of mind for a lot of growers as they apply
managing that nitrogen.
Yeah. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Chris, really appreciate you joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. I know this is a very busy time, so I appreciate you making time for us here at Real Ag Radio. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. Really do appreciate it. Of course, Pioneer Seeds Canada, the exclusive sponsor of the Farmer Rapid Fire. Make sure you go to pioneer.com/Canada to find out more. Well, we covered a lot of ground today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. We're talking to farmers really across the country. This is one of my favorite shows of the week, and getting those perspectives from the farmers and ranchers, what they are up to. And we're working our way just a little bit closer to planting with every single day. And of course, like I said at the beginning of the show, some people have just kind of got started, and the rest of us are a little bit jealous. If you have any feedback on this show, send us an email, shaney@realagriculture.com. Or of course, you can find us across all the different social media platforms, or just call the Real Ag Feedback line. That number is 855-776-6147. Thanks, everybody, for getting real and getting connected with Real Ag Radio. We'll, of course, chat again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.